Hey everyone, in this video I'm just going to talk a little bit about the attack team that I was using for the majority of this past Blitz war. I'm also going to show you some film against damn pandas, so pink unicorns against the damn pandas. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more content and information. So this attack team that I was using in war was really effective, mainly because one of the towers or strongholds was plus 30% attack to all tough toons. So I ran a mainly tough team because we ended up taking the tower quite often, and blue toons are just so overpowered as soon as you add in that 30% extra attack, which actually multiplies their normal attack, the leadership skill, the weapon, as well as the mods. So it multiplies after all those are calculated, so it actually ends up being a higher output than if it was just a leadership skill or a weapon, as an example. Just before war, I was able to get the team player ability on my Mercer, which gives plus 15% attack and plus 35 crit chance to all adjacent toons. So this helps make up for the fact that Mercer doesn't have an attacking lead, meaning that there's no like plus 40% attack to all strong and tough toons. So this helps just bridging that gap. You guys also saw that I recently pulled Dr. Stevens off of the Hell Wheel, so I upgraded him really quickly. Since filming this video, I have actually maxed him out. He has 30 rings, he's nice and pretty. His weapon is still not completely done. I only have one craft on his weapon right now, where I've added, it's either more HP or more defense, but he has 30% HP and 30% defense along with his special at the moment. And right now I'm trying to get more HP on him just because he's susceptible to being exhausted or maimed to death because of that exhaustion. On this team, I use either Siddiq or I use Green Glen, and whenever I use Green Glen, he actually goes where Princess is and Princess moves where Siddiq is, just because Glen can hold another team player stun weapon, which would actually increase the attacking power on Mercer and Priya, because they would be adjacent to my Glen, and he would also give that plus 35 crit chance, which would increase the chance of Priya rampaging. The reason why I'm using Siddiq at the moment is because I found that he was to be very effective with his active skill. Siddiq has a nice turn 2 confuse ability that actually works for 2 turns on an enemy. When he rushes, his rush is only 66 AP, but it can impair the enemy and it gives 50% AP to another toon on my team. And touching base again about how my Mercer doesn't have a normal attacking lead ability, no attack and no AP on attack, by having another avenue other than Dr. Stevens to gain AP quickly, Siddiq is an ideal commander because you can gain AP on his rush, or you can command a toon with his command ability so that they can rush a little early. My princess on this team, as you see, she just got tier 4'd, so she's getting up there. She's soon going to be one of my most powerful toons for sure. Her rush is just pure power, her active skill, the normalization ability is second to none. It really helped me out in war against bide toons and payback toons, and even against command toons, because by preventing a command toon from being able to do its one function, it really neuters the team. And finally, Priya was just my main damage dealer, but really Princess, Priya, and Mercer output a high amount of damage. Mercer also had a really great rush because he can stun 3 toons for 2 turns, and his active skill is helpful for recovering from bleed, like from S-Class Shiva's claws. So if I attack S-Class Shiva and I trigger the 2000 bleed, I can recover from that bleed on the same turn. On my Siddiq for this team, I ran a very unique and different weapon. It's just I don't have any like true attack up or defense down toons on my team. Princess like automatically buffs herself with Berserker, and if she's attacked, her weapon could trigger. But I ran a very tanky weapon on Siddiq, mainly because he's a generation 1 6-star toon, and there are sometimes a lot of yellow toons like Aravs on defense. So he's very susceptible to dying just because he's much weaker than all the other toons on my team. So I gave him a 35% defense and HP weapon with defense down when attacking, which was actually super useful on this team. Whenever it did trigger, I was able to set up a lot of powerful attacks, and it really helped with my Priya rushes, to be honest. Sometimes on teams you need to think of obscure weapon choices in order to maximize your team's abilities. So obscure weapon choices can sometimes be the best weapon choices to make. Now, a change that I had to make that was a bit difficult was remodding my Priya, just because with the new Jackie leader and not having really a mod removal event to change up my mods as much as I would like, I had to kind of do a quick fix on her so that I could still run her against Jackie teams, against Mercer teams, against basically any type of team out there. Because Priya is my main damage dealer, so of course I left on the attack set because that'll increase her overall power on any type of attack she does, whether it's a normal attack, a double attack, or a rampage attack. The crit chance mod is needed in order to trigger rampage more often. Attack versus alert. Now this I could have changed, but I just like having this ability of being able to kill almost any red toon on defense with one shot from Priya. I kept the stun resist obviously, but I got rid of a crit damage mod as well as the attack mod, and instead replaced with confuse resist against Jackie teams so that I don't accidentally rampage my own team, and attack up when impaired. Now, something that I've noticed with the recent meta changes, there are a lot of blue toons that are out there, especially on defense, who have elusive impair weapons. So my Priya is very likely to get impaired, and because I need to have a confuse resist and a stun resist, I can't have an impair resist. So instead, I'm going to try and leverage that ability. So if I impair my Priya on purpose, she's going to still have a high damage output, and because double attack and rampage don't need a rush to trigger, this ability is actually really useful. See, I could intentionally on the toon who I choose to rush, so I'm already getting an automatic 3 attacks because I'm in the middle of my rush. I'm choosing to rush, say, a blue frost. If frost impairs me on that first attack, every other attack after that is getting that attack boost from being impaired. That means the double attacks, and that means the rampage damage as well. This working in conjunction with the war tower of giving plus 30% attack to all tough toons was working really well for me in war. Now, it was a bit of a struggle sometimes when I wanted to rush, but obviously I was impaired, and there wasn't really anything I could do about it because I need the stun and confuse resist. The only thing I could do would be to run Yellow Maggie with an active impair recovery instead. And now we get to see this team in action. We're actually fighting some damn pandas here, and we see a pretty tanky defense. We see the S-Class Rosita, we see double S-Class Shivas, as well as Frost. So this type of defense is very tanky and can be very difficult to break through because of the high HP as well as defense. With Pete as a lead, there's the HP and defense coming from him, as well as a huge bonus to AP when taking damage. So this is a very tanky team. I'm really utilizing all my abilities from this team in order to leverage myself, and it isn't a fast team to get through. Like, I don't expect to get through these type of teams as fast as some of the top players do. My goal is just to break through them and be successful. And I do know that I'm not always going to be successful. Like, I fail on a lot of matches, and I learn the most from those. Like, sometimes I am red hot and I'm doing great, and sometimes it's just a struggle. And it's being able to push past all that and going through that struggle that you end up becoming a better player. It can be quite challenging and disheartening at times when you're not playing well, but the best thing you can do is keep on moving forward and try to improve. Like, it can be so challenging and difficult, but you have to keep on pushing, and it also means taking a step back at times. Pushing does not mean using the same team over and over again and expecting a different result if you're not trying to make some changes. A lot of the time for me, mid-war, I would make adjustments to my team or choose a different one after failing once or twice on a team, just because I know that I need a different combination of toons in order to beat them. And it can be difficult and challenging trying to address what you actually need and how you're going to get to a point where you're seeing successful results. It's just there are so many different types of defense teams out there and teams in general, and the RNG, so the randomness each time, changes. I know full well that this match I just got lucky because I used Dr. Stevens against an Angel team without a maim resist or an exhaust resist, so I just got super lucky. Even in this match, I ended up getting lucky to start, where 3 of the 5 toons were stunned by Mercer to begin with. And I know that even though I can rush my Priya like this, I need to have some support afterwards in order to clean up. And I did not manage myself well. You saw there that Pete actually had a focused stun weapon. So although I had him taunted, because I attacked him and he had a focused stun weapon, he was able to focus himself and bring back those other toons. So that was mismanagement by my part. And mismanagement just happens sometimes. And for me, whenever I make an obvious mistake where I can already see that this match is either going to take too long or I'm going to be unsuccessful in the end, I would rather flee it in order to try and get in some extra attacks on a different person because I have a chance to score more points there. I think one of my favorite parts about fighting all these different teams is seeing all the different combinations of toons that people use and just the different weapons that we see, because there are so many interesting and strong weapons that exist, and we really do get our ideas from what other people run. Although people want to say, I don't want to copy what these other people are doing, well, copying is kind of how you learn and you figure out different combinations that way too. Whenever I war, I really focus on people's defenses because it gives me a solid idea on what I should be aiming for on my defense team as well. And it also lets me know if I'm able to attack a defense, I can look back on film and figure out why I was able to attack it or what I should have done differently in order to be successful the next time. Because, like sometimes it's hard to catch something mid-war or mid-action, and you really do need to take a step back and re-watch it in order to see exactly what happened. Because there's been a number of times where something has happened during war, and I have no idea how it occurred. Like even in my stream earlier, I wasn't exactly sure how Pete revived some toons, but it was just that he had a focused stun weapon, and although I had him taunted, he was not impaired, so he was still able to rush and bring back some toons. I honestly think that a lot of the, quote, bugs that we see in war, excluding the one where Yellow Mercer comes back again and again and again, and I think Arov does too, there are some cases where we just don't understand what's happening at the time because it's happening so fast. And I know it's happened to me before. Like I once saw a Krista one-shot my whole attack team when I was using a Diego lead because she had attack up when taunted and she had a 120% splash weapon. So she ended up attacking my Diego and applied a huge amount of damage after I had like 2 toons left to fight. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching and listening to my video. Pink Unicorns ended up losing to Damn Pandas, but it was definitely a fun match.